Call of Duty used to be the antithesis of a generic video game. Activision had managed to find a franchise in the gaming world that exceeded in storytelling and set the groundwork to foster a community that was passionate about the competitive play. But as time went on and video game fatigue occurred, Call of Duty began to lose the edge that made it so unique. And now with the release of Black Ops 4 on the horizon, it appears that Call of Duty isn't trying to lead the charge of great games, but instead chase the curve. And it's really one fatal flaw caused by Activision that's going to make this Call of Duty fail. Let's take a look. Mind you, I'm recording this as a fan of the Call of Duty franchise. I've been a very dedicated Call of Duty player since Call of Duty 4, World at War, Modern Warfare 2, all the way through Black Ops 2. And even then, after the releases of Ghost, Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, and Infinite Warfare and World War II, I've stuck around and purchased every Call of Duty game, knowing that these games were not the same Call of Duty we knew and loved. And I think a major issue is Call of Duty is so detached from the community, it takes years for them to hear and understand what they need to do to fix the franchise. Back in the prime years of Call of Duty, the multiplayer was a fast-paced shooter that snapped to whatever movement the player was doing with their hands. And the simple create a class system that was easy to understand but fully customizable really helped foster a community that added several layers of strategy without sacrificing an even playing field. This made Call of Duty the game to be, the game that everyone wanted to be. The community online was stronger than ever, and everyone was dying to get their hands on whatever DLC was thrown out next. We don't need to go over what went wrong between Ghosts and Infinite Warfare, it's been done to death. But it seems to me that a lot of people are ignoring the mistakes that have been made in the last couple of years. Call of Duty World War II is a prime example. Call of Duty has seen a ton of success being in the World War II era of games, and it's no surprise when the futuristic and innovative titles don't perform as well, Activision would throw a plan to roll back to what worked in the past. But instead of doubling down and making this Call of Duty the definitive Call of Duty that would innovate at the same time as paying homage to what worked in the past, a half-baked typical Call of Duty game was thrown out there and players saw right through it. I don't know if they were working on Advanced Warfare 2 and halfway through the game's production they pivoted to work on World War II, but the criticisms from the game are straight up obvious. The campaign, while promising at the beginning, really goes nowhere, and feels like there's a third act of the story that's just cut out. And more importantly, the multiplayer, the thing that has defined the Call of Duty franchise, is even more half-baked, with it not working properly half the times, the maps all being about the same size, small, and the fact that there's only 9 maps in the base set of the game. I've complained about this before, and I'm complaining about it now. Call of Duty kind of does this switcheroo where they justify cutting features in favor of introducing irrelevant features. And they choose to do this instead of making their core game solid. And another major first-person shooter has done this before in the past, and it didn't end well. Let's take a look at Halo. In 2010, Halo Reach was released and was the pinnacle of the Halo franchise. It was a perfect culmination of what had made Halo so successful. Sure, some features had been changed and the map design was different, but at its core it fostered a great community. And players got so much for the $60 value. A very well thought out campaign, a multiplayer, a Forge mode, a custom game mode, a PvE firefight mode, and a theater mode just for the creative people who wanted to put stuff online. And Halo Reach was a great selling game. And when it was time for the next Halo game to come around, there wasn't fatigue because there was so much to do in the previous title. People didn't get bored of Halo Reach. But when Halo 4 came out, Halo should have taken what worked in Reach and doubled down to make it work better and make it more innovative and set the stage for Halo in the future. But instead, 343 Industries and Microsoft tried to make Halo a game that conformed to what other franchises had seen success in. In 2012, Call of Duty was one of the biggest competitive games in the gaming industry, and it had been for the years leading up to it. So when Halo 4 came out, instead of innovating what worked for Halo and what fostered a Halo community for over a decade, 343 Industries added Create a Class, locked in Sprint, and tried to make Halo essentially play like Call of Duty. And on top of these odd decisions in multiplayer, they went ahead and removed Firefight to shoehorn a new game type in that wasn't fun. They went into custom games and removed Infection, one of the most popular game types, and implemented Flood, which was broken and didn't let other players use weapons, which destroyed the custom game community as well as the competitive matchmaking community all in one title. And that moment right there disrupted the entire Halo community and franchise, and they're still trying to pick up the pieces today. And we're seeing the same exact thing happen with Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 should be trying to stick to what made Call of Duty so successful back in its heyday. And I'm not just talking about removing advanced movement. Black Ops 2 was successful because the game genuinely was fun. It fostered the right community for competitive gameplay, and the maps were well made, as well as having really balanced movement and gameplay. And what really concerns me about Black Ops 4 moving forward is the fact that they're taking the same approach as what happened with Halo 4. We saw it with World War II, and we're seeing it again with Black Ops 4, where they're cutting content in favor of adding new content that just doesn't work. I'm extremely concerned with the fact that Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is cutting out its campaign in favor of trying to ride on the coattails of the Battle Royale genre, which was popular in 2017 and early 2018. When Call of Duty really should be trying to make a core Call of Duty game that sticks to its roots and makes a good Call of Duty game. If Activision was removing the campaign to really rebuild the multiplayer from the ground up and really provide us with an experience like Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, or Black Ops 2, there would be hope in the community for this next Call of Duty game to be good. But it's so blatantly obvious that what Call of Duty is trying to do is just try to cash in on whatever they can and make as much money as they can by selling gimmicks such as Battle Royale in Call of Duty. They did the same exact thing last year with World War II, where the gimmick is it's a crappy Call of Duty game, but people bought it because it was World War II and they had nostalgia for the old World War II shooter games. And mind you, this is after 3 years of Call of Duty just doing the most random things with their franchise in hopes to convince and manipulate people into buying their games. They sold us advanced movement. They sold us a sequel to Black Ops 2 that wasn't really a sequel. And they sold some people on an outer space expedition. What? Look at Counter-Strike, for example. Counter-Strike Source was a great game that fostered a strong community around competitive play. And when it came time for a sequel to be made, instead of sending players to outer space or adding advanced movement or making Counter-Strike Battle Royale, Valve just took what worked at the core of the game and made it better. They understood the community, they understood what makes the game work and what keeps players playing, and they made a game that fostered to that same community. And new players came in and started playing it because the game is genuinely fun. Call of Duty should be focused on making a good game instead of trying to convince people to pre-order the game. We've seen tons of games grow over time because the gameplay is fun and the word of mouth is that strong. I think Call of Duty needs to slow down and take on the grassroots approach too. But mark my words, if you think you're going to buy Black Ops 4 because it's going to be that Call of Duty experience that you're going to play for 6 or 7 months and really just fall in love with, it's not. This is going to be just like every other Call of Duty game we've had for the past 5 years, where everyone's really excited and plays it for about a month, maybe 6 weeks, and then gives up. And mind you, I'm not trying to hate on the Call of Duty franchise. I genuinely just want a good game to play. I miss the days where the only game I played was Call of Duty, where I hopped on and played Search and Destroy, which mind you, is rumored to not even be in Black Ops 4. And then I would go and chill out and play Team Deathmatch or Zombies. Does anyone remember going and trying to play through the campaign on veteran difficulty? That was a fun challenge, and it was extra content. Instead, we're gonna have to pay $60 for a watered-down multiplayer game and a battle royale game when we can already play Fortnite for free or PUBG for half the price. I'm just tired of being nickeled and dimed out of features by Call of Duty.